Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you today. Um, it's game week 6 time. The deadline is in 50 minutes. So basically, I'm just going to do what I do every week. I'm first of all going to take you through my game week 5 results and then why that influenced my decisions for game week 6, what transfers I made, and then sort of I'm also going to go through today like my longer term plans because I kind of have an idea now. Like I know most people are wild carding right now, but in all honesty, I'm not really in a rush to wild card. So I'm gonna like talk you through my plans for my team because I feel like I'm in a solid enough place right now. But yeah, basically starting off then. So game week 5, as you can see, I ended up getting 47 points, and the average points last week was pretty low. It was 44. Um, I'm actually pretty happy with that week. It's not, excuse me. It's obviously not the best week, but yeah, I'm happy enough with how that went, just because it was better than most people. Last week was like the week before that was like 75, and I still had like I had red arrows the whole week. So yeah, I had lots of green arrows last week. So yeah, as you can see, I did Captain Salah, which was like the main thing that got me a lot of green arrows last week. I'll get into that later though. So yeah, usually I just go through player by player here. So I picked Turner over Onana last week. It didn't make a difference in the end because neither of the, I knew Onana wasn't going to keep a clean sheet against Brighton. I said that in my preview, like very unlikely that either team keeps a clean sheet. So I picked Turner ahead of him, and he did not keep a clean sheet. He was playing Burnley. I expected him to have a good chance of getting a clean sheet, but no, just didn't get a clean sheet, sadly. So um, I don't think he's going to be in the team much longer for Forest either, because obviously they brought in I can't pronounce his name. I can't remember for the life of me, but they brought in another keeper, so I very much doubt that he's going to be in the team much longer. So I probably will move him out eventually, but there's no like long term. He's a backup goalkeeper for me, so it's not like it's a luxury transfer to make, so it's not in my like immediate plans right now. Um, so we also have Jordan Bayer who subbed in for Estupinian. So I did have Estupinian in the lineup just in case. I knew obviously he'd only just traveled back from Ecuador because he was on international duty. I'm pretty sure he's Ecuadorian, right? I'm getting that right. I think I'm right. I think I'm right with that. But yeah, um, he was in South America anyway, and a lot of players were late back. So I didn't fully expect him to start against United, but I had him in the lineup anyway, just in case he did. Because even when he's playing in bigger games like that, he's always a threat for attacking returns. He didn't start. Jordan Bayer came in his place, and to be fair, Jordan Bayer, even though he came in as a sub defender, he had the most points for me out of my defense. My defense did not have a good week last week. He ended up just getting 2 points for the 90 minutes plus one bonus. So he came in for Stupinian. Doggy, I expected him to keep a clean sheet last week. I'm not gonna lie. He was playing Sheffield United, so I was pretty disappointed that he didn't keep a clean sheet. Tottenham were pretty lucky to win that game. Left it very, very, very late. But yeah, just had to take the hit and not move on. It wasn't a bad decision to start him against Sheffield United because he should have been given a clean sheet realistically, or getting an attack in return or something. And then we have Matty Cash as well, who was playing Crystal Palace, and again, pretty unfortunate not to keep a clean sheet. The goal they conceded was pretty poor, to be honest. But yeah, Matty Cash again. Obviously, he's got really, really good fixtures coming up now, so I'm glad I have him. I'm glad I have him in my team. I'm probably gonna not play him. I'm probably not gonna play him against Chelsea. I can probably play him because Chelsea are leaking goals right now. I know obviously they kept a clean sheet last week, but they don't exactly look convincing. So I could probably play him against Chelsea. And then Brighton, to be honest, there's an argument to be made that I could play him against Brighton because again they're scoring a lot of goals, but they're also conceding a lot. So and then he has that really, really good run after those two like pretty difficult games. He has Wolves, West Ham, Luton, Forest, Fulham, Spurs is tough, but yeah, for about 7 or 8 game weeks, he has a really, really good run. So I'm glad I've got him in. He's not going anywhere for the long term. And then moving on from the defense, then so I had Rashford, Salah, and Mbumo and Saka midfield. Let me just double check something real quick. I just want to make sure that yeah, okay. Sorry, I just had to double check. I actually sent a message out that it was live on my Discord. Yeah, so midfield was Rashford, Salah, and Mbumo Saka. So Rashford, obviously, as a United fan, don't really want to talk about last week. Kind of just want to move on from that. No. So Rashford was actually pretty unlucky last week, to be honest. I believe he had like 6 shots inside the box or something. And then obviously he assisted Højlund for Højlund's goal, but it was ruled out because it was like millimeters across the line. So that is the fine margins of football and FPL. Millimeters off a return for Rashford. I know a lot of people have sold Rashford and continue to sell him because they look like that's the thing with FPL. Like you have to try not to be reactionary like that. Like it's easy to look at a player and just think, oh, we blank, get him out because there's like another player who's scoring right now available. But as again, I'm confident with that Rashford pick, and like I said, it's fine margins. It's not like if he was playing terribly, then I'd be like, yeah, 100% get him out. But he's not playing terribly, and like I said, he had like 6 shots inside the box, and he was also millimeters off having an assist. So I'm really not worried about Rashford at all. So he's going to be staying, and they obviously have good fixtures now coming up. He has Burnley today. Then he has Palace, Brentford, Sheffield, City, which is a tough one, obviously. But then they have Fulham, Luton, Everton. Those three fixtures are really good, especially. So yeah, pretty good run coming up. Obviously, United do have European football in between those games, and obviously the cup and everything will be starting. So you do have to keep rotation in mind. But the good thing about Rashford is he's usually one of the nailed on United assets. So yeah, not going anywhere anytime soon. And then yeah, so touching on my captain choice for last week, so I took a bit of a risk and took Salah as captain. You've got Rashford as vice captain this week, Alan, by the way. So I'm going to be talking and chat in between, by the way, and obviously I'll be taking questions at the end as always. Yeah, I think I do as well, Alan. I think I also have Rashford as vice captain for this week, but I'll double check that when I'm in the pick, but show him game week 6 team. But yeah, just wrapping up the game week 5 stuff then. So with Salah, as I said, I took a risk and captained him. And honestly, I could sit here now and make myself sound like a genius for picking Salah. Because I remember doing last week's preview and I was like, oh, is there a debate to not captain Haaland? I know. I realized, Alan. It's because I usually just read the name that's in the chat. So when you're on Twitch, I say Seed and I say Seed, and then when I see Alan in here, it's Alan. But I'm gonna try to revert back to Seed because that felt weird. But yeah, so with me captain and Salah last week, it would be really easy for me to sit here and make it like I'm an absolute fucking genius for it. But I'm not gonna do that. Because the reason why is I got really lucky. I got really, really lucky. So with Salah, like I don't regret captaining him. Obviously, it worked out well for me. But the argument I made last week is if I'm going to spend 12.5 million in a player and he's playing Wolves while Haaland's playing West Ham, which is a tougher game right now, why am I spending 12.5 million on him? So that's why I captained him. And like I said, it worked out well. Salah he obviously played a full 90 minutes, got 2 assists and 2 bonus, sorry. You know what the annoying thing is as well? He should have had 3 assists. I remember watching the highlights back and he 100% should have had 3 assists. But I think it was yeah. So it was, what do you call him? Harvey Elliott come on as a sub, and Salah set Harvey Elliott up, and he hit a shot, and it was going like millimeters out of play, and took a deflection and went in, and they give it as an own goal. And I was like, I just felt it was hard. It was really harsh for him to give it as an own goal, in my opinion. I know obviously they're going to say, oh, the shot was going off target, but if he doesn't take that shot, the defender doesn't even try and make the block. Do you know what I mean? So, and it was a clear deflection. So I think it was harsh for him to take the goal off Elliott. Yeah, I feel like it was harsh for them to take the goal off Elliott. So because Salah should have had 3 assists as well. I'll answer questions in 1 second. I'm just wrapping up the game week 5 review quickly. So yeah, halfway through the midfield then. So Mbumo, didn't expect anything from him last week, to be honest. Newcastle away, in my opinion, is probably the toughest fixture in the league. Them away and City away. At least at City away, you can actually maybe like nick something on the counter, but Newcastle are so solid defensively. So yeah, I didn't expect anything from Mbumo last week, and I didn't get anything, so that was okay. I just had him there just in case, but yeah, there's not really much to say. Now he had Newcastle away. He has got good fixtures coming up now. He's got Everton at home today, and then Forest away after that. And then he obviously has Burnley after that United game. So yeah, pretty happy with him and the team right now. But Newcastle away is just tough. And then Saka, obviously he played Arsenal last weekend. He got me an assist. He got clean sheet points, and he played a full 90. So again, not really. I can't really be unhappy with that. Saka is consistently returning, and that's all I ask for. I will say that I do look like a genius having Salah in from the start, because a lot of people started with that template midfield of like Bruno Fernandes, Martinelli, Rashford, all those guys. And I was just like, nope, not doing that. I need Salah because he's guaranteed returns almost. And I feel like people disrespected Salah a lot by not having him in the team, because as you can see, just consistent returns, and then it's just getting slowly better for him as well, and he's got good fixtures now. So yeah, I'm glad I have him from the start. Obviously Haaland, so this is what I was referring to when I said I got lucky. So I didn't captain Haaland, and he did only score the 1 goal, so it worked out well for me to captain Salah. But if you actually look at his stats in that game, he had his highest XG this season against West Ham. He had 2.56 XG. He 100% should have scored a hat trick at least against West Ham. He was on fire, but he was on fire in terms of getting on the end of the ball. Just wasn't on fire in terms of taking chances. But he did eventually get a goal. So if you did captain him, it wasn't as bad as a blank. But yeah, I definitely got an advantage over people because I didn't captain him last week and captain Salah instead. But yeah, Haaland was pretty wasteful last week. He definitely should have had at least a hat trick. So I was very lucky that he didn't take his chances last week when I didn't have him captained. And then the last 2 players were Nicholas Jackson and Morris. Again, when I was talking about Rashford and I was talking about fine margins and stuff, it's the same with Nicholas Jackson. He, in my opinion, his overall play has actually been really, really good. He's just been so, like, obviously there's no excuses for some of the sitters he's been missing. Like, he's been missing some absolute sitters. Yeah, he's been missing like open goals and stuff, right? He didn't miss an open goal last week, but he did hit the post. So it's like, again, it's the fine margins. Like I say, like if that doesn't hit the post and he scores early, he possibly goes on and gets another goal. Like, it's momentum and confidence in football are the key factors. I don't blame people for transferring him out. I believe he's the most transferred out player this game week, and I don't blame people for doing that. If you have the luxury of transferring him out, I would probably do the same. But Haaland missed an open goal. Sorry, Sid. Yeah. Haaland missed some absolute sitters, but like I said, I'm glad that he did because I didn't have him captain last week. I was blessed by the FPL lords last week. They knew I didn't have him captained. But yeah, just going back to Jackson. I know it's easy for me to sit and say this when Alvarez and everything is available. It's hard not to panic when you're seeing your striker miss chances like that. But yeah, if you have the luxury of transferring Jackson out, then like, yeah, happy days, go for it. But I wouldn't take a hit to get him out. I wouldn't, if you've only got like 1 transfer available and like you want to get Alvarez in, but you need to make another transfer, I wouldn't be taking a hit just to get Jackson out, because he still has a couple more good fixtures left, and you never know, if he gets one goal, then his luck might turn. But his overall play, I've been pretty happy with. But yeah, I should mention that as well. I should mention what Steve just said in chat. He is one yellow card away from suspension now, so just be wary of that. You can definitely get away with having him for this one more game week at least, and then make the transfer if you want to get him out. But just don't take a hit to get him out, is all I'm saying. Obviously, if you're wild carding, then fair enough, get him out. Because there is better players to have, just to set yourself up well for the fixtures. And then lastly, from last week, I had Morris in the team. I didn't really expect much from him last week. I just got him in. I got him in ahead of the he's got a double game week coming up. So he's got Wolves today at home. Then he has Everton and Burnley double game week. I don't even expect much from him, but like, I'm happy enough with like the overall core of my team. So I was just like, I had an extra slot. I had basically, I needed to fill a spot in my team for like a budget player. So I just brought him in. I brought him in just to fill that spot, and because he has a double game week, it's worth a punt. It's a punt. That's all it is. I'm not expecting anything from it, but it's a punt. So yeah, that was game week 5. Again, finished on 47. Lots of green arrows last week, so pretty happy with that. It took me up into the like top 700k overall. So we're still pretty low in the overall rankings, but I mean, we're doing better. I'm doing pretty consistent. You know, like I think there's only been 1 week over the last few game weeks where I've been below the average, and that was game week 2. But every other week I've been above the average, and obviously like the Salah pick, from having Salah from the start, definitely helped. So yeah, moving on to game week 6 then. So this is my confirmed team for game week 6. So before I like go through everything, the transfer I made this week was, so as you can see last week, for game week 5, let me just put that up again. So the only defenders I had Udogie, Cash, Estupinian were my starting 3. Estupinian didn't play, so Bayer came in for him. So I wasn't really happy with the defensive depth that I had, because I'll go back to this game week here. So yeah, I wasn't happy with the depth I had in defense, and obviously with Newcastle having really, really good fixtures coming up now, like Sheffield, Burnley, West Ham, Palace, Wolves, like for next few game weeks, we've got pretty good fixtures. So yeah, basically I actually pulled the trigger on Botman. Brennan Botman in. I brought him in Monday or Tuesday. I brought him in before he played in the Champions League, which was a risk, but I brought him in early because I knew that everybody else was bringing him in. Like, I think he's the second most transferred in player this week. So I knew that his price was going to go up, and I only had, so I came into this game week with 0.5 million in the bank. So I knew, and he was available for 4.5 million. I knew if I didn't bring him in early, there was a risk of him going up to 4.6 million, and then I would have been priced out of the move. So I made the move early with like fingers crossed that he didn't get injured. Luckily he didn't. There might be some rotation because obviously Newcastle are playing Champions League, but I actually do think Botman's one of the nailed on. He's one of the nailed on Newcastle players. I feel like the likes of Burton is a bit more of a risk. I think Burton's a bit more of a risk because he has like Lewis Hall and Livramento sort of lurking to take his place in rotation, but I don't really know. I know obviously Newcastle have like the Lascelles and stuff, but like there's a big quality drop off there when you bring out Botman and put in like the likes of Lascelles. So I think Botman's pretty nailed on, to be honest. So yeah. I brought Botman in for 4.5 million, and I took out Bayer. So I was going to take out Kabore, but I capped him because his fixtures are a bit better right now, and he has a double game week coming up, and I might be tempted to throw him in as a punt in the double game week. I don't know yet. He was actually pretty unlucky not to get an assist last week, Kabore. But yeah, so I feel like Botman's nailed on. So I brought Botman in and took Bayer out. So Bayer was 4 million, Botman was 4.5. So I spent that 0.5 million that I had in the bank. So yeah, Botman go straight into the team this week. So we've got Onana in goal against Burnley. I pray to the Lord above us as a United fan and as a fantasy football manager that Onana keeps a clean sheet this week. I don't expect it, but one thing I really, really praised United for last season, even though obviously they had some really bad results last season, like the 7-0 and City 6-1 or 6-2 or whatever it was. They had some really bad results like that. But over the course of the season, obviously United, kept the most clean sheets. And that wasn't a coincidence. That wasn't luck. It was last year the defense had so much grit and determination to grind out results. And I just have not seen that. I haven't seen that from United this season at all. I have not seen it. I'm not sure where that's went, but they need to get it back because they're way too open right now. Every time a team attacks them, they look like they could concede. So United look great going forward. They definitely look a threat in that aspect, but they need to sort out the defensive. I know obviously they're trying to be more front foot as a team, but like I say, it just looks like they're lacking grit and determination to actually defend, which you can't do in the Premier League. So yeah, Onana starts, but when I do eventually use my wild card, because I don't like making keeper transfers, I feel like it's a luxury transfer to make a keeper transfer. So I probably won't make a keeper transfer until I wild card, and I'm not even 100% sure when I'm going to wild card anymore, because I was planning on wild carding around about game week 8, game week 9, but because of the shape of my team right now, I actually am in no rush to wild card. It's in pretty good shape at the moment for the upcoming fixtures, and I already kind of know how to work my transfers to fit in the players I want to get in. And I'll go through that one obviously once I've went through my game week 16. There was one question as well. Sorry, I don't know if you're still here, Suyog. He was asking, would you have Morris in your wild card? You know what? The only time I would have Morris in my team is if you have one spot you need to fill as a budget spot, and you need to just take a punt on someone. But if you're able to fit in the likes of Alvarez ahead of him or Watkins ahead of him, then I would be doing that instead, to be honest. I would I would only, like I say, have Morris in my team if you need to fill a budget spot, and then you have the option of playing in a double game week. So have him as a bench player and then just throw him in as a punt during a double game week. So obviously I've got Salah, so he takes away a lot of my funds, hence why I've got Morris starting. Ideally, you want to be playing with 5 midfielders, I think, because the midfield options this year are a lot stronger than the striking options. The only 2 strikers that have been delivering consistently. Well, you know what? I'd say there's probably three or 4 strikers delivering consistently, but 2 of them aren't guaranteed to keep doing that. So Haaland and Alvarez are the ones that seem to they're going to keep delivering consistently. But also Edward for Crystal Palace and Awanya for Forest have been delivering consistently. But I don't know how much longer that's going to continue for, because it seems like they're just kind of having a purple patch right now, to be honest. So, yeah, basically my point is you want to be playing 5 midfielders if you can, because the midfield options are absolutely stacked this year. But yeah, for the upcoming game weeks, Morris is worth a punt. But yeah, to answer your question, I probably wouldn't bring him in a wild card as a starter. I would maybe bring him in as a bench player just to again fill a budget spot. And then obviously that way you have a bit more, money to work with your midfield. But yeah, it just depends. He's not a priority. But he's worth a punt for the double game week alone. That's why I have him, and he's not going to be staying in my team long term. I'm probably gonna. Well, I'll get into that once I explain my upcoming transfers. So yeah, so for the defense then we'll have Matty Cash, Botman, and Estupinian. So it was basically a 50-50 coin flip between Cash and Udogie, because both of those players have chances. I feel like the North London derby is going to be pretty back and forth. Arsenal are going to have good spells in the game, and they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Spurs. and then vice versa. The only reason I've picked Matty Cash over Udogie is because, well, there's a couple of reasons, not just one. I feel like Matty Cash's starting position is a lot higher up the field. I feel like we've been seeing him play almost as a right winger. Whereas Udogie is more like, he does play pretty high up the pitch as well, but I don't think he's going to really get the opportunity to do that because he's going to have Saka to play against. He's going to have Saka to worry about against Arsenal, and it's at the Emirates as well. And I feel like right now the Emirates is a bit more of a fortress. Like, to be fair, Arsenal's like clean sheet record at the Emirates is pretty poor. Not pretty poor, it's actually horrendous, to be honest. So I'm not sitting here saying that Arsenal are going to keep a clean sheet and batter Spurs, but I just feel like Chelsea are an easier, going to Stamford Bridge right now is easier than going to the Emirates. So that's why I've opted for Matty Cash, and I also just feel like Villa can really damage Chelsea on the transitions and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Again, it's a 50-50. I could have went for either of these guys, but I've went with Matty Cash. So yeah, I could not really. I might backfire. It might not. I don't know. Both of them have pretty tricky fixtures for this game week. Botman and Estupinian were pretty nailed on. Like, I expect Estupinian played I'm pretty sure he played 90 minutes midweek in the Europa League. But I expect him to play at least start anyway. I don't know if he'll play 90 minutes, but he should definitely start today. He's got Bournemouth at home, so I don't expect Brighton to keep a clean sheet because I don't know what it is about Brighton, but they just can't keep a clean sheet to save their lives. Hope he does. I really do hope he does. But yeah, I don't expect it, so I'm hoping that he gives me some good attacking returns today. And then yeah, Botman against Sheffield United. Yeah, that's a pretty easy choice. But saying that, Udogie was playing Sheffield United last week, and Sheffield United are no pushovers, to be honest. Like, I do think they'll get relegated and stuff, but to their credit, they've actually been showing a bit of fight this season. So yeah, it's not like, obviously, it's not like 100% nailed on the Botman's going to get a clean sheet, but it's a good fixture, so I can't not play him in it, you know. Sorry, just getting some water there. So yeah, midfield then. So I've got Saka against Spurs. I expect that game to be like ultra attacking. It's two teams that just want to go at each other. And that's why I was tempted to throw Udogie into the game as well. But for that reason, I think it's bad to have a defender in the Arsenal Spurs game because there's probably going to be a lot of goals conceded, I think. So yeah, I'm hoping Saka can get like a couple of returns for me because that game's going to be pretty open, I think. I don't think any team are going to be sitting back. Both managers have like an attacking philosophy to their teams, so it should be an entertaining game to watch, to be honest. I'm looking forward to just watching it. And then Salah has West Ham at home. West Ham are no pushovers at the moment. I think they're a very good team, and like I said last week when West Ham had to play City, obviously it's different because now West Ham have to go to Anfield, so it's not like super straightforward. But yeah, I'm confident enough that Salah might be able to get like a return in that game at least. But yeah, West Ham are no pushovers this season. I think they're very good defensively, and Moyes is happy enough to just sit back and play in the counter attack. So we'll see how that goes. But Salah stays in the team, obviously. I've got Rashford as vice captain, as I mentioned earlier to see it in chat. Obviously, there was no one else getting the armband this week but Haaland. But yeah, I've got Rashford as vice captain, and he's playing against Burnley away, and I'm really hoping we see, like, I'm not saying that United are going to go fucking batter Burnley or anything, but I'm really hoping that there's actually there's a performance there, you know, like a 1-0 and a clean sheet I would take, but I want to see a performance. I want to see sustained pressure, sustained possession, and I don't want to see like openness in the defense. I don't want to feel like every time Burnley go forward, it looks like they're going to score, because like I said, the defense has been really poor for United this season, just in terms of like lacking determination. Like, it doesn't look like they're interested in stopping any of the counterattacks. And Burnley, I don't think their squad has the talent to really fulfill the way that company wants them to play. Like, they have a couple of good players, but I mean, yeah, I just feel like United should be beating these guys because they're not going to sit back. They're going to leave space for United to take advantage. As long as United can like maintain an overload against them in the midfield and sustain pressure and keep possession, they should win the game. And I'm hoping that we get at least a couple of returns from Rashford, like a goal and an assist or a couple of goals or something. But yeah, I'm hoping that we see a bit of a resurgence from United because they've had a few really tough fixtures. But now they've got a good run of fixtures, so I'm hoping that we see a bit of a bounce back from them now. And then a fixture I'm really looking forward to, and I do apologize if you're in the chat, Paz, but I've got Mbumo, who's playing at home the Everton, and I fully expect a couple of returns at least from him. And Mbumo's looked absolutely electric this season. So I'm hoping that we get at least a couple of returns. But like I said about Everton last week as well, I don't necessarily think they've been atrocious. I don't think they've been terrible like Everton fans on Twitter would make you feel. They've been unlucky at times, to be honest. But I think their main problem, like, they haven't looked defensively frail or anything. Like, there's been a couple mistakes here and there for sure. They could definitely improve defensively, but their biggest weakness is just not scoring goals. That's what it's been for a while now. Obviously they have the likes of why am I forgetting his name? I don't know. I'm just having a mind blank right now. They're very injured striker. Their striker is always out injured. He's basically a hospital patient that's had his career ruined by football. Calvert-Lewin. I don't know why I had a mind blank there. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in Mbumo. I'm pretty confident Mbumo can have returns against this Everton team because there is mistakes in that defense. But yeah, like I say, Everton's main problem is scoring goals. They have brought in like Zidane, Juma and stuff. So yeah, we'll see if that changes for them. But I'm hoping for an Mbumo return at least. And then moving on to the front three then. So I've got Morris against Wolves. Again, like, I expect Wolves to beat Luton today, even though Luton are at home. But like I said about Morris when I brought him in, I only really brought him in for that double game week against Everton and Burnley. But he does have a good chance to return today against Wolves. Like, like I said, I do think Wolves will win. But if anybody's going to score for Luton, like, Morris is probably going to be the most likely. And even if he doesn't score, he has a good chance of being involved in it, like assisting or whatever. He takes penalties too. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not fully expecting him to return today. And like I said before, I'm not really expecting him to return at all. It's kind of just a punt. That's all it is with Morris. It's a punt. He's got a double game week coming up. He's got good fixtures for the next like 3-4 weeks. So yeah, he's in for now. He's a punt. Hopefully it works out. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal at all. Obviously we've got Haaland as captain against Forest. Like last week I captained Salah, obviously, and I was trying to be a bit clever with that, and it worked out. But I got really lucky because Haaland missed a lot of chances. This week is not a week to be clever. I'm not gonna like captain Salah because he's playing West Ham at home. That's a tough fixture. I'm not gonna captain Rashford even though he's playing Burnley away. I'm not gonna captain Mbumo even though he's playing Everton at home. Even though Rashford and Mbumo 100% have probably better fixtures. Maybe not 100%, but in my opinion, they have better fixtures. But even though they have better fixtures, it's just not one of those weeks where you take the risk because like City will most likely batter Forest if we're being honest. I do think Forest will show some resilience, but City are just a much better team than Forest, and they will break them down eventually. And then the most likely player to score for them is Haaland. So This week I'm going to be sensible because, like I mentioned before, Haaland should have scored a hat trick last week against West Ham. He had 2.56 xg, and he'll be out. He'll be out to prove a point this week. Excuse me, my throat was getting dry there. I just had to keep drinking water. Yeah. So Haaland obviously bottled a lot of chances this week, so he's probably going to I think he's probably going to return, to be honest. Sup, man. You still trust Jackson? I have him too, but I will sell him today. Honestly, I don't trust him anymore, Tiger. I've kind of just got him because I don't think if you've got the luxury of transferring him out, that's good timing, by the way, because it was just about to move on to Jackson. If you've got the luxury of transferring Jackson out, you should 100% transfer him out to, what do you call him? Alvarez. You should 100% transfer him out. But I don't have the luxury of transferring him out. I had to make a defensive transfer this week. I only had one in the bank, and I don't think it's worth a hit to take Jackson out. He still has good fixtures for the next couple of weeks, so there's no immediate rush to get him out. So I've got him for this game week, but he will be going out of my team in the next couple of game weeks because he hasn't been performing to my expectations, and his fixtures are about to turn as well, as you can see. He has now got, after this like sort of Villa, Fulham, Burnley run, his fixtures go really, really bad. So you can hold on to him until like maximum game week 8. But like, yeah, I don't trust him anymore at all, man. If you've got the luxury of transferring him out, get him out for sure. Hi mate, Jota to Mbuemo, 1 free transfer. What second free transfer to Gabriel to Shaw or Chilwell to Trippier or Roll? Honestly, I would probably. I know obviously most people want to get a Newcastle defender in right now, so I completely understand Gabriel to Shaw. But I would be tempted to go to Chilwell, go get Chilwell out and bring Trippier in, just simply for the fact that Chilwell doesn't look certain for minutes right now. So it doesn't seem like. So it looks like Poch wants to play 4 at the back, but he doesn't seem to fancy Chilwell playing as the left back. He's been playing Colwell as the left back instead. And then that means Chilwell's been playing as a left winger, which is great when he plays left wing because then it means he's more likely to return. But then last week, obviously, he started Mudryk ahead of him. So I don't know, man. Chilwell looks like a bit of a minutes risk. But so is Gabriel. I would definitely use the second transfer, to be honest, mate. I would definitely use the second transfer. I wouldn't roll it this week because I think it's 100% worth getting Chilwell out. Yeah, I would get Trippier, to be honest, mate. I would get Chilwell out and Trippier. You want I know obviously Trippier's 6.5 million, so he is a bit on the expensive side. But yeah, it's definitely worth having a Newcastle defender in a team. I've got Botman because I can't afford Trippier. I would 100% get Trippier if I could afford him. If you can afford to get Trippier in, then I would 100% go for it, mate, because not only are you getting like the clean sheet side of things with Newcastle having good fixtures and being pretty solid defensively, you're also getting the set piece threat that he provides. Like he's on the free kicks, he's on the corners. So he's really, really likely to get assists from those scenarios. Because if you think of the sheer height of the Newcastle team, the centre backs and everything coming up, I just feel like Trippier being on free kicks and set pieces is such an asset to have in your team because he has he's probably one of the best crossers, if not the best crossers in the league. So he is likely to get assists from those set piece situations. So yeah, to answer your question, so you're going Jota to Mbuemo, which I like because obviously I've mentioned the Mbuemo's fixtures, Everton, Forest. He does have United, but then he has Burnley. So 100% like that transfer. And then, yeah, I would go for Trippier, mate. Trippier's just a better asset to have than Shaw. And obviously with Champions League for Newcastle as well, there's potential that Shaw could be rotated out. But I think Trippier starts every week. I can't see Eddie Howe starting Levermento over Trippier. Kabore or Adogi? Adogi. I know obviously I've got both. But yeah, Adogi 100%. Udogie has good fixtures. Well, after Arsenal and Liverpool, it depends what way you're asking it, to be fair, Abdullah. If you're asking me who you want for this game week or like the next 2 game weeks, Kabore. But yeah, Udogie has Arsenal and Liverpool the next 2 game weeks. But then after that, he has Luton, Fulham, and Palace. So if it's more of a long-term transfer you're asking, then yeah, Udogie for sure. If it's more of short-term, then Kabore, because Kabore has a double game week coming up. He's got Wolves, Everton, Burnley for the next 3. But I've got Kabore. I'm not even starting him. I'm not starting him. I could realistically start Kabore today against Cash, but to be fair though, mate, yeah, I'm not starting either of them. They'll both start. So who's your defense? Abdullah? If you've got both, then I would start Udogie. Because the thing is about Luton is like, well, yeah, that's a point. That's a good point as well. And no problem, by the way, Boo Boo. Yes, what Seed said, Kabore is not actually guaranteed to start, because I remember he was dropped a couple of game weeks ago, actually. Because I had him in my team a couple of game weeks ago, so it was against West Ham, actually. Yeah, and he only played 19 minutes. So if you look at his minutes overall, he's played 63, 69, nice, 19, and then he's only had one 90-minute game. So, I mean, I do think Kabore will start, but the thing is, with Kabore, he's not going to keep clean sheets. So if he's not going to keep clean sheets, then you're banking on him getting an assist or a goal or something, or being involved. You know what I mean? Anderson or Udogie. It's Udogie. The answer's Udogie. Even though Udogie's playing Arsenal, which is a tough fixture, you can't be banking on Luton defenders, guys. Luton aren't going to keep clean sheets. If you're putting a Luton defender in your team, you're banking on them getting a goal or an assist. That's what you have to keep in mind. I would really, really doubt Luton keep a clean sheet over the next 3 game weeks. Even with these fixtures, they've got Wolves, Everton, Burnley. I very much doubt they keep a clean sheet in any of those games. So yeah, I would 100% be starting Udogie over those guys. If that's your only 2 options, of course. Like I mentioned before, I was going to start Udogie this week, but I didn't like the defensive depth I had, so I brought in a Newcastle defender. Realistically, you should be trying to upgrade one of those Luton defenders to like Botman, for example, if you have the extra cash in your bank. I have a Stupinian, Kabore, Udogie, and Chilwell. Who do I bench? Kabore. For this week, you'd bench Kabore 100%. Because like I mentioned before, you're not going to get clean sheet potential with Luton defenders. And yeah, if you're obviously Chilwell's a bit of a tough one because he's a minutes risk, but I do think he'll start again. He'll come back into the team. Estupinian 100% starts. And then it's a toss up between Kabore and Udogie there. Neither of them are going to keep clean sheets. Luton are just a really poor team, to put it bluntly. They're not good at all defensively. So they're not going to keep a clean sheet most likely. And then Spurs are not going to keep a clean sheet against Arsenal. So then you have to look at it as, okay, neither of them are going to keep clean sheets. Which of those players is more likely to get me an attack in return? And for me, it's Udogie. Even if he's playing Arsenal, like I mentioned earlier, Arsenal's clean sheet record is really, really poor at the Emirates. They very rarely keep a clean sheet at the Emirates. So yeah, I would be going for Udogie, mate, because he definitely has potential to return against Arsenal at the Emirates. I haven't went for him personally because I have Matty Cash, and I think he has a good opportunity to return against Chelsea because Chelsea aren't in the greatest of form. So I went for Matty Cash ahead of him. But for your team and the players you have available, I would be starting Udogie over Kabore because he's a better player. Simple as that, mate. You can base it on the fixtures all you want, but if you've got a better player available, then you pick the better player. and Udogi's a way better player than Kabore. But I mean, I could be wrong. By the way, I'm not going to like sit here and state everything I say as a fact, because Kabore could 100% go out and get an assist or whatever and prove me wrong. But yeah, I would say Udogi's still the better pick just because she's the better player, mate. But yeah, just going back to my team then. So yeah, the last player that I had in my team was Jackson for this week. And like I mentioned, the only reason I have him is because I don't have the luxury of transferring him out yet. So I'll explain that in a second. I'm just going to drink more water quickly. You can tell I don't stream often because my voice is not used to doing this much talking. Yeah, so I've got Jackson in the team. There's obviously 5 minutes at a deadline as well, so everybody's just trying to squeeze their transfers in last minute. So this is my set team. Like I said about Jackson, don't have the luxury of transferring him out this week. It's not worth taking a hit to get him out, in my opinion. So my long-term plans then, so I'll go through a couple of these with you. So my long-term plans are Jackson will be coming out of my team in the next couple of game weeks. And I'll go through what I'm planning on doing. So my next couple of changes. So I've got no transfers in the bank right now. Obviously, I'll have one for next game week. So one of the changes I can make would be Jackson out and then Alvarez in. That could be one of the changes I make, but I'm not 100% certain if I'm going to do that yet. And the reason being is because I mentioned this on Twitter earlier in the week. With Champions League football now coming into play, I don't think Alvarez's. I'm not 100% sure Alvarez's minutes are as secure as we would like them to be. Now I know that Pep has come out in like press conferences and stuff and said that Alvarez deserves to be the first name on the team sheet and all that stuff. So he's like backing him. He's backing him to death, which is great for FPL managers to hear that. But I'm still just not so sure because we've been done by Pep Roulette so many times in the past. So I'm kind of just waiting a couple more, like 1 or 2 more game weeks just to see, because obviously his minutes have been really good so far. As you can see, he's played 90 minutes basically every single week. I want to see if that continues now that Champions League and 2 games a week is in play. I want to see if that continues, because the thing is, City still have the option of like Grealish, option of Foden. Obviously they've got the new signing Nunez as well, so they do have options to bench Alvarez. So I want to see if that continues. But yeah, for so that's one of the potential transfers I can make. I could just go that route, and then that makes it easy for me. And then that way I also have I could take Morris out and like maybe even upgrade him a little bit. So that's one route I could go. The other route I could go, which I'm kind of leaning towards right now, would be, so obviously I have Jackson in the team right there. So what I would do is next game week, or sorry, not next game week. So let me think of what way I was going to do this again, because I had it exactly in my mind what way I was going to do it. So it was going to be Jackson out and Morris out. So Morris obviously has a double game week. So game week 7. Yeah, so I know what way I was going to do this. So basically what I was going to do is next game week, I wasn't going to make any transfers. This is what I was thinking here. So I've got none right now. Next game week, I get the 1 transfer and then I roll. I was going to roll next week. And in the following game week, so it would have been after game week 7. So after Morris plays his double game week, I was going to then take Morris out, downgrade him to a 4.5 million forward. So you have the option. I'll get the options up here quickly. So you could bring in Semenyo or you could bring in Archer. Either one of those. I was kind of leaning towards Semenyo because he has good fixtures. Game week 8, 9, and 10. He has Everton, Wolves, Burnley, so he could be an option. But the thing is, with Semenyo, he didn't even play a single minute against Chelsea. I don't know if that was down to injury or illness or something like that. I don't know, but that's what I was thinking anyway. So and then if I don't pick him, you still have Archer as an option as well. Either way, this would be a bench player option. So So yeah, basically you bring in like Semenyo, for example, right? And that frees up $1 million in the bank. And then I go from Jackson to Watkins. And this is kind of what I'm leaning towards doing right now. And the reason I'd be doing that is because Watkins fixtures. So obviously, like I said before, Morris has the game week 7 double game week. And then after that, game week 8 and forward, his fixtures get a bit tough again. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about doing I'll revert that back. So the game's updating now, so I can't even show it anymore. But yeah, basically that is what I was thinking about doing. I was thinking about doing Morris after his double game week 7. I go from Morris to Semenyo or Archer, free up 1 million in the bank, and then take out Jackson and go to Watkins. That means I'll be missing out on Alvarez, so that's the risk involved in that. And maybe I will just go for Alvarez. Again, I haven't 100% made up my mind on that. So the first option is just a straight swap for Jackson out, Alvarez in. That's one of the options. And then the other option, like I said, is downgrade Morris to after Morris gets his double game week 7, take him out, put in a 4.5 million forward, and then upgrade Jackson to Watkins, because Watkins has really, really good fixtures coming up for Villa. I'll try and put the fixtures up if it lets me here. It should let me here. Is there any Villa defenders I can show here? There we go, yeah. So Villa's fixtures from game week 8 after Morris's double game week, which is timing is perfect. Wolves, West Ham, Luton, Forest, Fulham, Spurs, Bournemouth. So for a good 7 weeks, maybe 6 weeks actually, they have really, really good fixtures. Diaby's a really good option as well, by the way. He's only 6.6 million, so you could potentially make a midfield transfer in there as well. And bring Diaby in. But yeah, those are my plans anyway. So I have an idea of where my team is going right now. I don't even need to use a wild card right now. I think the only people that really need to think about using their wild cards is people with lots of Chelsea assets, or people who want Salah who don't have Salah already. But I only have one Chelsea asset, and I already have Salah. I've had Salah since the start, so I'm pretty happy with the shape of my team right now. I have several different routes I can go with the team. I can go for the Alvarez route and then just spend a little bit extra money in midfield, or I can after the double game week 7 for Morris, downgrade him, roll a transfer next week, downgrade Morris, and then bring in Watkins and a 4.5 million forward. And then Watkins would be really, really good, a really, really good asset for the next few game weeks. So I'm leaning towards the Watkins right now. But then obviously if Alvarez's minutes continue to be good and he continues to return, then it's a bit of a risk not having Alvarez. So that's the decision I have to make over the next couple of game weeks. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to hop off now. Good luck this game week. Obviously everyone's teams are locked in now. I hope I was able to help a few of yous. I'm not going to call myself an expert or anything, but I feel like I have a good sense of direction in terms of where I'm going with my team. So I hope I was able to help with some of your teams as well. Good luck for the game week. And make sure that you're in the Discord as well, just to keep up to date with the banter and everything in the Discord. Share your teams in there. I'm just going to get the invite link and put it in the chat. For anybody who's not in the Discord already. There is a Discord link in there for if you want to join a Discord. But thanks so much for watching. I appreciate yous. And yeah, good luck this game week. And I'll see yous later. Peace.